On today's Smart 7, Birmingham's bin strike continues, hopes for a US trade deal and lots more. It's Wednesday 16th of April, it's National Banana Day and happy birthday Sadie Sink.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
Birmingham Bin Workers have rejected a proposal that would have seen the month-long bin strike come to an end. The offer, which was described by Unite General Secretary Sharon Graham as wholly inadequate, was intended to see workers return and start to tackle the mountain of black bags that have built up in the streets. Local Tory MP Wendy Morton says the rats who she refers to as squeaky blinders must be dancing in the street with delight. Industry Minister Sarah Jones issued a direct plea to Unite members.
Unite need to call off the strike, accept the deal and let's get back to normal, which is what people expect and what people deserve.
Army planners have been deployed to help clear the waste mountain, along with workers from other councils and private contractors. Unite boss One Kassab says his members have done everything they could do to avoid having to go on strike.
Our members have already taken a pay cut before these proposals were even put on the table. That goes to show that we haven't rushed into strike action. We've been willing to negotiate, and indeed we've made very, very real concessions.
Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds was in Immingham on Tuesday to supervise the unloading of coal and iron ore for the Scunthorpe steel plant. The government was facing a race against time to secure supplies to keep the furnaces burning and producing virgin steel, but Reynolds was sounding much happier now that the precious cargo was on its way to the British steel plant.
I believe we can improve on the financial performance that we have seen. The kind of support we're now putting in place for British Steel is better value for the country than offering hundreds of millions of pounds for significant job losses in a way we weren't quite confident that transformation programme would deliver.
There's still a certain amount of confusion over what happens next with British Steel, which hasn't been fully nationalised. There were warnings too that the business may still need what was termed a different employment footprint once the immediate crisis has passed. Former Tory Minister Tobias Ellwood was concerned about the reports that the government is still considering Chinese investment in the troubled plant.
Let's not forget, we're dealing with China here. We're dealing with a superpower on a mission, a country that does not play by the rules, that's long sought dominance in the critical supply chains, rare earths, and steel production too.
The UK hosted a conference on Tuesday aimed at restarting peace talks in Sudan. The North African country has now been embroiled in a bitter civil war for 2 years, which has seen tens of thousands killed and an estimated 13 million people displaced. 20 nations attended the talks, which was chaired by the UK, the EU and the African Union, with the aim of rallying international partners, improving the flow of aid and finding a path towards peace. The conference failed to agree on a communique, however, after Arab states including Egypt, Saudi Arabia and the UAE couldn't agree on the next steps. Foreign Secretary David Lammy says it's important to demonstrate that we haven't given up on Sudan as he announced an additional £120 million of aid.
We have got to persuade the warring parties to protect civilians and to put peace first. And so we do need patient diplomacy.
As Donald Trump's tariff wars continue, with new taxes on pharmaceuticals and semiconductors expected to be announced soon, there was some hope for the UK from an unexpected source. US Vice President J.D. Vance told the Unheard website in an interview that there's a good chance of a US-UK trade deal. He said Trump's team are working very hard with Keir Starmer's government, but offered no specifics about what such a deal might entail. Lib Dem leader Sir Ed Davey, who has history with Elon Musk, who called him a snivelling cretin, wasn't in a mood to take J.D. Vance's word either.
We're in favour of doing a trade deal, but it's got to be in Britain's interest. And that's why we want any deal examined very closely in Parliament. President Trump is bypassing Congress. Our British way is to make sure that anything that the government does, which is so big, gets properly examined.
Still to come on today's Smart 7, in association with Metro, Aston Villa chase European glory, and Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively face off again. Right after this. Welcome back. 3, Tuesday night saw Aston Villa with a mountain to climb as they faced French champions PSG at Villa Park in the second leg of their Champions League quarter-final. Manager Unai Emery has a good record in European games, particularly at home, and he'd called on his team to make history as they sought to overturn a 3-1 deficit from the first leg. It didn't start well with 2 early goals for PSG, but Villa came roaring back, scoring 3 of their own. But it wasn't enough and PSG won the tie 5-4 on aggregate. In the other Tuesday night game, Barcelona held on to knock out Dortmund. It was an epic night at Villa Park, and even though his side went out, manager Unai Emery was still proud of their effort.
We won, but of course was not enough. And we are feeling proud of everything, but I want more. And if we can get again Champions League for the next year, it will be fantastic.
Next week sees Season 2 of Andor drop on Disney+. If you've missed Season 1, Andor follows the story of charismatic rebel Cassian Andor in a prequel to Star Wars movie Rogue One. The first season traces his origins and the second sees tensions with the Empire escalate as the Death Star looms on the horizon. Diego Luna plays Andor alongside an amazing cast including Forrest Whitaker, Stellan Skarsgård and Genevieve O'Reilly. The cast and crew were out on the red carpet for the season premiere and Luna spoke about how intense the role has been.
We worked 2 years and a half for each season of this show. So imagine 5 seasons. It's impossible. So it was the best that could happen, saying, like, let's have 2 seasons. Let's finish in a moment where we are all loving what we're doing,
If you're a fan of complicated plots and black comedy, you're in luck. The sequel to 2018's A Simple Favour is on the way to Prime Video. It's directed by the man behind Bridesmaids, Paul Feig, and it reunites the stars of the original movie, Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. The plot has many twists and turns, and you might need to watch the original before you see the sequel, but it involves murder, revenge, and a dramatic wedding on the Isle of Capri. It's called Another Simple Favour, and it streams on May 1st.
What did she say to convince you to come to this farce?
Fratricide, identity fraud, just girlfriend stuff.
I have a surprise. Your own true family. You probably don't remember me. It's your Auntie Linda.
You brought your sister to our wedding? She's an insurance policy. Does I won't kill you both?
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes, we'll give you the world.